don't you start a YouTube video? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. What do you mean that's what it does? R25. That's kind of how we came up with the name. If you ever hear her call me stupid or something, just know that's her way of saying I love you. You know, the funny thing about making the first YouTube video is it's nerve-wracking. It really is. You know, it just the whole idea. Do you write a script? Do you tell a story? Do you have to make a long introduction so people get to know who they're investing their time in? Because it is an investment in time. I watch a lot of videos. And there are times when I spend way too much time probably watching videos. We all do it, I think. But, you know, most of those people that I watch, I kind of know their backstory. So, you know, is it from watching so many videos, or did they do an introduction video? I don't know. I really don't know. I even try to go back on some of my favorites. Arms Family, Rob Maritimer, DIY Hunter, bunch of the homesteadings. I just can't find any intro videos, but for some reason, I feel like I know these people. And I kind of wanted to build something like that too. So, I don't know. We're going to take 5-10 minutes, talk about it. I think it's important. It's the whole crux, it's the whole basis, foundation of why I wanted to do this. And why my wife supports it. You'll get to know, more about that. But anyway, let's talk about it. So, my name's Adam. My wife is Brandy. We are empty nesters. I'm 52. She's younger than me, just by a few years. But we have 5 kids between us. We've got previous marriages, and we have no natural kids together. So we've been together for a long time. And we promised ourselves, when kids got out of school and got on with their lives, moved out, got married, that we would start doing some things for us. And one of the things we wanted to do was buy our dream home. We're from Fort Worth, Texas, or in that area. And we always dreamt of having a home with some land, to do things that we both like. I think everything that we like to do, we are country centered. We're not into the nightlife or doing the drinking or partying or anything like that. I mean, we're at that age to where we really are just we wanted to enjoy ourselves, right? And we realized that the key to that is finding us a place, finding us a home. We rented ever since we were together, and for multiple reasons why. We had kids that were financially demanding and were in sports, and for lots of reasons. But anyway, we chose not to buy, which probably was a bad idea. But anyway, so I'm going to take you to COVID era, right before. We had started talking about where do we want to move. Dallas and Fort Worth area was getting just packed full of people. And we lived in North Fort Worth by Eagle Mountain Lake. And it just was really too much. We wanted to get out. We wanted to be, away from people, but still have a home that we could do things on. So, as I mentioned, the kids, they would go off and do their things, either with their other parent or friends. When teenagers get old, dad and mom aren't cool anymore. They got boyfriends and girlfriends. So we found ourselves with weekends free. So we got into a habit, and it was really awesome. We would wake up Saturday morning. I'm a Chick-fil-A addict. Been eating Chick-fil-A every day for 15 years. And we would say, which direction do you want to drive? And we would jump in the truck and just head a direction. And in DFW, you get interstate within 5 minutes. So that's what we did. We went to East Texas, Arkansas, South Texas, West Texas, and then north, which, there's only about an hour and 20 minutes between our home and Oklahoma state line. Well, what we found we would also always look at homes, right? Because that's what our dream was. Let's find a place. And we knew about what we wanted to spend or what we wanted to pay a month. And so that's what we would do. We'd pull up Trulia, Realtor, whatever app it was, and we would just look in that price range and see what we could get. Well, COVID hit, and which didn't impact us as far as our little Saturday trips. All it did was we realized it drove prices up. So originally we had, some options, East Texas. But the one thing my wife wanted, she wanted to stay close to her family in Fort Worth. So we talked about it. We put a 3 to 4 hour range. Well, what we found real quick, we were landing in Oklahoma a lot. My wife does like to go to the casinos. I'm sure you'll see some videos of that at some point. But nonetheless, the land was cheaper. Homes, there wasn't as many because obviously I think there's more people live in DFW area than the entire state of Oklahoma. But what we found is we could get more for our money. So it just seemed natural. So every day or every Saturday for 2 years, it took 2 years. If you remember COVID, it was a process, right? Interest rates, lenders were getting extremely picky. Prices were going crazy. People didn't want to sell. The amount of homes on the market fell. It was a horrible time to try to move, but we had that itch. And we had the flexibility to move with our jobs. We both worked from home. So fast forward to September of 2025. We had already realized by then that it was going to be Oklahoma, right? I love hunting. I love the outdoors. Texas, if you know anything about Texas, they have very limited public land. Oklahoma has a ton of it. I love Kansas. She wasn't moving to Kansas. It's too far. And in her eyes, too flat. So what we end up doing is one weekend, we just like every other Saturday, we jumped in and said, let's go. We pushed the max. It was 3.5 hours. And we looked at a home in north central Oklahoma. It was 25 acres. And there were a couple of things my wife wanted. She wanted a newer home, and I wanted to give that to her. And we didn't want a huge home because it was just the two of us. We knew that. And we don't have grandkids yet. So we weren't looking for a huge home. But what we wanted was a nice home. And she always liked the barn dose style. So what we could find is we were finding that we could probably buy in our price range. We could find that type of home on 5 to 10 acres. And we really didn't want just 5 acres. This was our dream home. This was our forever home, right? And we just we felt like we needed more land to do what we wanted to do. She wanted a couple animals, and they range anywhere from llamas and mini cows. That's a whole separate story, and we'll get into that at another video. But and what I wanted was, I wanted some land, and I would love nothing more if it had some sort of hunting. Not sure if you can hear the owls, but I wanted hopefully some hunting opportunities. So anyway, we started looking, still looking at that 5. We could find some homes with 10 acres. We found one that had 40 acres, I think, but the home needed a ton of work. And I'm 52. I think I'm fairly handy. But when it comes to a remodel, I didn't want to do that. I knew we were going to end up spending close to what the most we wanted, our max. And I didn't want that financial strain. And I didn't want to move into a home or forever home and have Brandy live in a home that wasn't her ideal home. I didn't want her to look around and see projects. I wanted her to be proud of the house, our home, and I wanted her to see a finished home. And if that meant taking 3 or 4 or taking less land, I was willing to do that. Absolutely. Like I said, a happy wife, happy life. I try to live by that. So we scheduled some walks on some homes, and we found one, like I said, in northeast Oklahoma. Now the area we never looked at, and we drove in. We came in the backside of the property, or backside of the neighborhood, because it felt fairly close to town, which was one of the things I was worried about. But it was 25 acres, and the home was 2 years old, and it had a creek that ran through it, and that creek fed into a local WMA, wildlife management area. So I knew that there'd be wildlife. And my wife loves deer. She's hunted with me one time this year, but another story. But, so she's not into the hunting or anything, but she loves wildlife. She loves being able to wake up, see the deer in the yard. We've got game cams out, or she's always liked to look at my game cams. But anyway, getting ahead of myself. So we found our dream home, and, she loved it. We said, this is it. And we put an offer in, and it was a good offer, and it was a good seller, and there were some concessions made. We struck up a deal, and literally in 2 weeks, we closed on the home. I mean, we went from waking up Saturday morning and saying, which direction do you want to go, to now trying to figure out, how do you turn the electricity on to the new place? Or, let's shop for homeowner insurance. All the things that go with owning a home. We both have owned homes, but it's been decades ago. So it was an all new process. And we were moving out of state. So, again, just fast forward, September 30th, I believe, we moved in. And we had our little 25 acres. And we were sitting around. And I've always, and my wife, love her to death, but she's always said, you need to start a YouTube channel, right? You do all kinds of stuff. You watch video. I know you can do those things. Why don't you start a YouTube video? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I've got a career. I'm in the middle of some big things going on at work. I don't have time, but I always wanted to, because I always wondered, what if? And the big thing is I knew that if I ever got my own place, like we did, that I would need help. And everything that I watch on YouTube is centered around being a better land manager, taking care of the wildlife, giving back. It doesn't matter. Tractors, everything was centered around that. But I'd also go into the comments and I would read the comments and I would try to learn from the people that gave positive, constructive feedback. And I thought to myself, if I ever started my own channel, I'd want to facilitate some sort of channel to where people could kind of just see our progress. Like I said, 50 years old and rented the vast majority of my life. And at some points, I didn't think we'd ever be able to afford or be able to make it happen, but we did. And I wish, looking back, there were content about people that would start moving into their forever home and showing the progress. We've got tons of stuff. I'm gonna walk around, drive around, and show some of the projects. But these are years and that's going to take. This isn't, I've got a good job, but, by no means am I wealthy. Not at all. So, but there's going to be things that I need help with. Like, I've never planted a tree. Never. And that's the kind of things that, when I look at YouTube, I'm really thankful for YouTube for those reasons. It's because you can get an education from YouTube and the comments. So anyway, long story short, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to share the experiences. Me and my wife moved on the place. We started talking about it. I had a lot of free time, because you can imagine when you're, if you think about it, if you spend your time working and then looking for your dream home, that's very time consuming, right? Well, now we live here. And, when I get off work, I walk out of my office, and if I have an hour and a half left when I was stuck in the city, it was just, I felt like I was wasting my life away. And when you get to a certain age, and this is the tough part, is that during COVID, I have asthma, and during COVID, I caught COVID, and then had to go to the hospital because I had a really, really bad irregular heart beat. Dog scared me. My 8-pound Morkie scared me, and what I felt like stopped my heart. But anyway, so, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I was 40, or no, I was in my late 40s when that happened. And I thought, what have I done with my life? I've raised kids, I've worked, I absolutely adore my wife. We've got a pretty unique dynamic, and you guys will learn that, So if you ever hear her call me stupid or something, just know that's her way of saying I love you. But what have I done? What have I given back to the people that, give me so much? My wife's the most selfless person you'll ever meet. She'll do without for as long as others have what they need. And I don't want to get started on that, but yeah, I'm sitting there with COVID, and I thought, how many more deer seasons do I have? How many more winters do I have? How many more, wedding anniversaries do I have? And, life is short. And I took all that for granted. And I swore to myself, I would never take life for advantage again. Absolutely not. And that's what we're doing. We went full steam ahead, bought this place, 25 acres. Our last name starts with an R. This is R25. That's kind of how we came up with the name. So that's the meaning behind it. But, you know, it just goes to show that, or what I wanted to show is just, you know, kind of our legacy, you know, our kids. Again, another really big important thing is we don't have grandkids. I touched on that earlier. We don't have grandkids, and maybe that's kind of unique, being 50. But at some point, we will have grandkids, and we may not be around when they want to start reflecting back. Who are their grandparents? And it would be super cool. I mean, think about if YouTube was around. If you're my age, think about if YouTube was around when your grandparents were here and they had a channel and they showed their life on it, regardless of what it was and whatever the interest was. But, or your kids get older. Your kids, I grew up in the age of, you know, cell phones being developed and camcorders and stuff, and looking at home videos, but nothing can tell a story like video, and if you document it. So that's another huge reason why. And that's kind of a sappy, corny reason, but it's a real reason. It may not be the reason, but it's a reason. It's part of the reason. So yeah, that's kind of our story. My wife's not really, you know, she's not one to jump on camera. You know, she made it clear, this is your channel. You know, she's push, you know, or let me back up. Support. Me doing it, but you know, she obviously, this is mine. This is my channel but it's going to be our experience. So I don't know. It's going to be exciting, I think. It'll be very interesting to document the projects. I'm a very, very impatient person, and I'm a project manager at heart. That's what I've been. That's my career. So everything is a project to me. My wife is an absolute spur of the moment. Let's buy this, and you know, and without any research. And you ask anybody who has to have a plan. That's the one thing that will drive them crazy, is not having a plan. So anyway, awesome dynamic. I think it's fun. Yeah, we've got a lot of things. So anyway, I'm going to take you up. We're going to jump in the mule here, and we're going to drive around, and I'll show you R25. Our property, like I said, 25 acres. It's long. It's probably, I'm going to say, 300 to 400 yards wide. Maybe more. Maybe. I'm embarrassed that I don't know that. I'll find out for sure. But yeah, it's anyway, it's long. It's longer than it is wide. So let me take you down, and let me show you the front, what we're calling the front pasture. Oh, one thing you'll see. You see that trash? Okay. You'll see a theme on some of these projects. There's a story that we need to tell. Let me zoom in on, I tell you what, let me just drive over here. There's an important theme that is relevant to the trash. And that is that cross right there. So, real quick, let me tell you. Let me tell you just the part of the trash. So you'll see that there are numerous places throughout the property that the previous owners decided that they needed to dump trash. And those hoses that we just passed, the previous owner had them strung to the creek and to the pond, which I'll show you. But so there's a cleanup effort that is it's real. It's going to take me some time. Again, it's just me, guys. I mean, my wife, she'll get out here. We bought a brand new Kubota not too long ago, and she absolutely loves driving it. Now, anything else, she's like, if I'm not working the grapple or running the tractor, you're kind of on your own. So, anyway. All right, so let me spin you guys around. So, you'll see this is a couple acres. But this is probably the only pasture that we had when we moved in. And again, we cleaned this all up. This was 6 foot of weeds. Again, you know, there were piles of brush, trash, barrel, buckets. I mean, it was, yeah, it's like I said, we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to do, and it's gonna take a minute. But anyway, I'll share the story with you one day. But this area, my wife wants to put something or some things down here, which right now it's kind of bouncing around, you know, mini cows or llamas or hell, I don't know. You know, it could be anything really, and you know, I'll support her. Some brush. That's us. So right here, I don't know if you can. Let me turn you around. I'll make a comment on that in a second. So right here. All right. So our property line, here's two road intersects, utility boxes, which, you know, it is what it is. These are, you know, these are here. But starting right about here, all the way, it looked like across the street. You know, it was just packed. You could see all the brush. You see the trees I cut down. That fence was a wreck. So one video, and I've got some clips I'll put on, but we replaced the fence, treated the stumps. But yeah, anyway, this is going to be, I don't know, llama land, cow country. I really don't know. I don't know what it's going to be, you know. Kind of like llama land, you know. I mean, everybody's got highlands and mini highlands and stuff, and you know, we watch Piney Grove Homestead, right? Those guys, they've got two, I think, mini highlands. Love that channel. Don't miss a single one. But I don't know if that kind of got started. My wife watches a lot of YouTube, so she's seen some mini highlands as well. So I don't know. We'll see. I'd rather have llamas than mini highlands, though. Okay. So, all right. Some backstory. We almost didn't buy the place because of these. There's in our area, there's a producer that owns multiple wells. These are not in production, but because they are tied together, the state has said they can't classify them as abandoned wells. So this is a project that we are going to, I don't know, we're gonna call it something like Operation Conceal Tanks or something. I don't know. We got a couple ideas. Got a couple ideas. think we can do that. All right. Coming through here. Oh, apparently in Oklahoma, it is common when you have oil wells like those tanks. These are called collection lines where they're all tied together. So, you know, there's a couple areas on the land that these are exposed. So I got to call the producer and talk to him about it. Very small pump jack. It's not even hooked up. You see the weeds on it. But again, nothing we can do. It's going to be part of Operation Conceal. This, my friends, is something that as a Texan, I didn't even know existed. It's called a lagoon septic system. Now, this isn't ours, the one that we currently use. This is an existing or an old one. It has something to do with that cross. And that's the Tony story. And it deserves its own story. We'll give it one day. All right. So, the previous owner, he did have this in the food plot. He did have this right out through here as a food plot. But he had let it go. And it was probably 5 foot, 6 foot tall. And it was just it was a nightmare to get it cut. Stops everywhere. I mean, it's just, this is a project. But let me get over here and kind of point you in the right direction. I may have to jump out on this one. So if you look, you'll see the house up there. We'll go up there in a second, but blind, he left that here. But my plan is I'm going to have fruit trees planted here. I'll do a couple micro plots, put some screening in, put some wildlife, something in there. Absolutely is going to help the animals, the deer, the turkey. We got a hog problem, right? Apparently you don't live in Oklahoma and not have a hog problem. And being by a major creek or being by a creek feeds into a WMA, and we're surrounded by, everybody's got at least 50, 60 acres. The guy next to me, great neighbor, he's got 120, across the street's 160, 100. I mean, we got hogs. We got a hog problem. Back here, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But whatever I do, it's going to have to benefit the wildlife. Again, but I just don't know what we're going to do. All right. That's what I'm saying. This is unless I go to the casino and Magic Lamp or Lucky Duck treats me well, it's gonna take a while. I'm gonna be at it for quite some time. So this just kind of hooks back here, doesn't really go anywhere. Just for reference, that utility box, if you remember, in Llama Land is directly through there, probably 300 yards, if not a little bit. Well, no, it's probably 400 or 500 yards. The creek runs through here. I'll have to spend some time and take you guys back there one day when we're doing projects. Lots of cleanup. My biggest project right now is anything. So I have so many projects. What I've done, and being a project manager, what I've done is I've got so many projects. I've got a big dry erase board that I use for work. Well, half of it let me back up. I'm using some of it, and I've listed all of my projects. And all of my projects, I've listed urgency, right? And then I've listed some of them that, it doesn't do me any good to plant trees in the dead of winter, right? Survival rate. It's not the good time. But so if I'm going to spend the time, the effort, and money, I want to make sure I maximize what I'm doing. And because time really is the essence here, right? I mean, yeah, I'm not being morbid and say I've got 5 years to live. But let's face it, trees take a while to grow. So I want to focus on trees, planting all trees, whether they're fruit trees, whether they're, what I call decoration trees, maples or dogwoods or anything. I want to plant those now. I want to focus on that. But one of the big challenges I'm going to have is this field. This field, I've never seen such a, doesn't look like it, but when we cut it, well, here, check this out. When we cut it, I mean, I've got just thatch for days. That wasn't even a good representation. But it is so just rough. Ruts everywhere. You can see the hogs down here. They've tore it up. It's just ridiculous. It really is. And right now, I don't own a piece of equipment to take care of that. So again, this is part of, guys, what do you suggest I do? I've looked at doing a landscape rake to try to pile this thatch up and then burn it. My wife does not like the idea of burning. We've got nobody around us does control burns, so the amount of fuel that's on the timber floor out here is ridiculous. Plus, I've got an oil well right there. It's not active, not producing, but I have no idea what's in those tanks. So, not really too keen about doing just control burn over the whole thing. But so anyway, yeah. And then what do I do to bust the ground up, smooth it? I want to do minimum tillage, but I think the first time I'm going to have to take a look at this. I mean, it's unreal, the amount of damage. And I wish you guys can feel the guy that, so when we first moved in, I didn't have a tractor. But we moved in right at deer season. And the previous owner was gracious enough to leave that deer stand there. And, but there's no feeder here. So I knew numero uno was get this cut where at least I could see some animals, see some deer. And the guy told me, he's like, I can't drive in that. He had like a 40 horsepower tractor, and he was like, it's jarring my teeth. So I'm gonna make one pass, and that's all you get. And that's all I got. So, I mean, it's just, I'm creeping, and you can see, it's ridiculous. It really is. So anyway, long story short, I need an implement. I need to know what you guys think. Everybody's told me get a disc, get a tiller. I'm not opposed. Of course, I'm not made of money. I'm not opposed to getting a piece of equipment, but I want the right piece of equipment. Oh, man, you got to wear a kidney belt. Okay, so anyway, we're going to drive through here. So my plan is I'm eventually going to block this off. The deer see when you crawl down from the blind and go down and you go out that way. The deer, if there's any deer in the field, they absolutely see. So do a bunch of screening, but this is kind of just an overview. So again, another project. This kind of leads us to by far the biggest project. So we've got about a 3/4 of an acre pond. This is the back side of it. The guy did not do a 3-to-1. And I'm fortunate enough to where my brother-in-law owns a dirt company, so he builds stuff like this. But he's 4 hours away. So there's not a chance he's going to bring his equipment up here He's pretty busy, but he did say, "Hey man, you take care of me by my eats, whatever gets rent some equipment. We'll come up here and we'll knock it out, a couple days, and we'll rebuild the backside of it. It's really thin up top. It washed out over when it flooded one time. It needs some work. So that's by far going to be the biggest chore. We're going to make a little catch pond right here. That is the lagoon that I showed you. Going to fill that in. That's no longer needed. So right here is going to be a grove of ponderosas. I've never understood. I don't know the reason. When you go to nurseries around here, heck, we even went to a Lowe's today, and they had loblollies, and I get it. Those are awesome, fast growing pines, but man, you just don't beat a ponderosa. And again, maybe teach me something if I don't know. If that's the wrong pine to plant in Northeast Oklahoma, but we've seen a lot, especially if you're going to Tulsa, going on the turnpike on the south part. There's some gorgeous ponderosas there. So my idea, we're going to plant some ponderosas, so when they come up, you can see them over the pond, and you'll be able to tell what I'm talking about when we get over to the house, the view I'm talking about. Just remember, that's the field that I'll show you when we get up to the house. So anyway, we're gonna have to build the pond, bring it back down here. That tree we have to sacrifice that tree. This road will be sacrificed 100%. I'll have to cut another road to go that way. Another part of we actually go in the woods here. Creek down there, there's no we can go down there. So you'll notice here, yes, that's a golf ball, but that's a raccoon trap. We have a raccoon problem here, a really, really bad raccoon problem. So, and I absolutely love turkey hunting. So, and I just love seeing turkeys. Right, I'm gonna turn that off for a second. So, me and my neighbor kind of are making he doesn't live there. He lives up in Tulsa area, and we've, super nice guy. I'm running some traps on his side. Again, first year, I don't think I've ever held a coon trap, but I've got to feel like I've got a bachelor's degree in trapping from the University of YouTube. Now there was no practicals or hands-on experience, but I felt like as soon as I bought them, I set them up, and I'll tell you, first 48 hours, I set them Friday night, and we've eliminated 8 ground nesting egg thieves, put it that way. So yeah, good thing. I've got to get in here and do some massive cleanup. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of daunting. My gut says come in here and do some thinning, because you can see the vines. I mean, it is wicked thick. I mean, everywhere it's just thick, super thick. And I know hogs love that, and I know deer will always go to the least, or the path with the least resistance, right? And got some good deer down here. I mean, we've got a mix of Kansas and Arkansas deer where we live, so you never know. You get a little mixture of everything. But I've had people tell me, don't do anything to it. Leave it as is. Maybe if you wanted to cut a couple of trails for you to walk through, do it, but leave it, and I'm torn. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm not looking forward to doing it in the heat, but I'm absolutely looking forward to the challenge of getting it done. All right, let me turn this around and we'll get going. So this is the lagoon. This is our lagoon. This is the new lagoon septic system he put in. Guys, if you don't know what a lagoon system is, look it up. It's, again, when we had our home inspection and we reviewed the report, I was like, what do you mean that's what it does? But I don't know. So far, so good. So here we are at the back of the house. This is a pretty big project. We've got a neighbor that butts right up to the back of us, and you know, we just want some privacy. So our plan is to plant a couple rows of giant arborvitaes. Probably have to do 8 to 10 each row, stagger them to get the privacy. But the house is up on the hill, so it's pretty elevated, and the land just keeps falling down through those 15 acres next to us. So we had to put the fence up when we first moved in. We've got three standard poodles, pretty large dogs. They're city dogs. They've never lived in the country. You've probably noticed that we've had, you know, some car noise, even though it's 25 acres. We live right at the corner, and right by a road, county road. So, you know, our fear was dogs, you know, they've never been, they're not country dogs. They've always been in the backyard. So they've always had a fence. Or something. Huh. Heard something in the brush. But anyway, yeah, the dogs have just always had some sort of containment, some sort of fence. So here, show you a little bit more. But yeah, it slopes pretty bad. So another big project. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to scrape this. Used to be a home here, part of the Tony story that I was talking about. Used to be a home here, burnt down, and there's a big ridge right here. And what I fear is, what I know is there's probably buried construction material underneath there. So I'm going to come in there and I'm going to scrape it. Bring a skid steer in, I'll scrape it, and then I'll bring some topsoil in. And then plant it. We're going to plant a couple big trees. Don't know yet. Not sure yet. I'm a fond of ponderosas. So may put some ponderosas back there. Who knows? But we'll see. Coming to this side of the house. This area here hopefully is a spot for a shop, like a 3-car, maybe like a 30, 40, 25, 35, something. I don't know, you know. I'm not sure what the sizes are, but the goal is to hopefully have a 3-bay shop with a little office. Right now I've got a 3-bedroom. The home's 3-bedroom. My wife and I occupy a bedroom each. We've converted it to offices. So when we have guests or family come up, there really isn't, you know, a place for them to stay. So just one of the sacrifices that we knew. Sorry, cat scared me. One of the sacrifices we did. So, you know, plan again, a shop right here. Unfortunately, we have a line that runs in our property just on the inside. But I think there's enough room. I've went out here. There's going to be a lot of leveling that has to be done, but yeah, we're just going to put a shop here, and ultimately, wife Brandy wants asphalt rather than gravel. That's a big project. The other one that I need to do is we get really bad drainage. Let me try to get out of the sun. Get really bad drainage coming off the roof. Spills out. You can see it's starting to erode a little bit of the soil here. Yeah, so my plan is put a French drain across the front and have it, put a French drain right here and have it kick out downhill. This is pretty substantial slope. And really, this needs to be leveled out. I don't know if you can see the tracks when we first moved in. Again, another first. Never owned a zero turn. Bought a zero turn, and one of the first things that happened, scalped, you know, because it curves up. So I know that I need to smooth this out, bring some soil in, topsoil, and level it out. Brandy is not happy with that plan. She understands that she's going to lose her yard. The previous owner, he planted a substantial, all this is in really nice Bermuda. Doesn't look like it now because it's dormant, but when this kicks off, it'll just be, I mean, that was one of the things we fell in love with, is because this was almost like a golf course. I mean, I know Bermuda's not a golf course, a grass, but yeah, it was really pretty, but it needs to be leveled off. The pond, you can see here, if you remember, I had mentioned earlier on about being able to see over. There's the food plot, there's the pump jack there. So, you know, when I was talking about the ponderosas peeking up through the pond, or on the other side of the pond, that's the view we want. That tree is in really bad shape. That one needs to come down. These are great trees. I just trimmed them up. So yeah, the pond's going to get redone, but that's going to be a project for down the road. We inherited Kitty here. Funny thing about her is every day she brings a mouse up to the porch, and we're not cat people. I'm allergic. But then we started feeling sorry for her, and she's obviously an outside cat. Talked to the neighbor, or I'm sorry, the previous owner, and he said the same thing. She's always been an outside cat. So, you know, we ended up, and this is a mess. We've been working on it, but we ended up buying her a little cat, a heated cat, you know, house, if you will. And, you know, she's kind of living high on the hog, you know. But yeah, she brings a mouse up every day usually and throws it around, plays with it, does cat things, you know. Yeah, so go down here, look more. So I did lie earlier in a video. I said I've never planted a tree. So this is the first thing that we've done as far as planting. I forgot what version of a magnolia this is. Janet magnolia, something like that. Can't really remember, but anyway, yeah, she likes it. We'll see how well it does. We saw one in a nursery that was much bigger than that. It was about 4 times as expensive. That one was like 30 bucks. And yeah, we'll see. We'll test our green thumb. Don't know. Lots of things, lots of new things, but yeah, just one little last shot of the house, I guess. Like I said, not very many big projects going on at the house other than landscaping, but yeah, we love it. Absolutely love it. So anyway, guys, that's it. I mean, that's R25. I mean, that's us. Like I said, I would appreciate any comments, any suggestions, anything that you think might be helpful. Please put them in the comments. Plan on reading every single one of them. Anything that is productive that might help, would appreciate it. But, you know, always would love, the like and subscribe. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna upload videos as often as I can. Hopefully once a week. Like I said, the Saturdays and Sundays, we always do something. We're always, usually one of those days we have something to do, whether it's running to town, which is the biggest one is Tulsa. We've gotten to where we like going to auctions, farm auctions, state auctions. You know, my wife, I'm sure, will drag me to a casino. But, you know, whatever we do, kids come up, we may go. We went to this salt flats. Who knew that Oklahoma had salt flats? But they do. So we're always doing something. So anyway, close it out. Appreciate you watching. If you watched this far, look forward to lots of your comments. Hopefully learn a lot from everybody. And yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.